This is Politics and Business TV. Thank you for joining us. At this time, you're watching news analysis, the top stories. President Bola Tinubu appeals to all 36 state governors to put politics behind them and focus on governance. Bandits who abducted 287 school children at Riga in Chukun local government area of Kaduna State issue threats to kill victims in 20 days. Experts in the treatment of kidney diseases calls for stricter regulations on carbonated and alcoholic drinks in Nigeria. Details coming up shortly. Right, I am Omo Piece of Summer. Now let's begin with President Bola Tinubu, who has appealed to all 36 state governors to put politics behind them and focus on governance. Tinubu made the appeal when he hosted governors to a Ramadan iftar, breaking a fast, at the banquet hall of the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja. Media reports quoted Tinubu as saying that the country was no longer in the state he met it since assuming office 9 months ago. As opposed to previous administrations, the governors are the President Tinubu's first set of iftar guests and is expected to host more such gatherings with senior government officials Benue, Plateau, Kogi, Kebbi, Bauchi, Borno, Ogun, Nasarawa, Ebonyi, Bayelsa, Gombe, Abia, Edo, and Kaduna states. Now, the Minister for Power, Adebayo Adelabu, has said citizens of other African countries, including Guinea, Togo, Mali, and others, pay more than what Nigerians pay for electricity. Adelabu said Nigerians would also be ready to pay more for electricity if they get an improved power supply for their money. The minister stated this when he visited the corporate headquarters of the Ikeja Electric in Lagos State. Adelabu, during a meeting with the management of the distribution company, said stakeholders in the electricity supply chain must gear up to create a basis for the removal of electricity subsidy for a cost-reflective tariff. Adelabu, while expressing concern that a number of the 11 power distribution companies were not ready to invest in power infrastructure, added that the challenges facing electricity are not insurmountable if all stakeholders play their roles well. And as to other matters, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has directed banks to strictly comply with recent foreign exchange FX policy reforms in view of the dividend payment season. According to media reports, part of the policy was aimed at restricting banks from using the foreign exchange gains to pay dividends to shareholders. It would be recalled that the Apex Bank last year emphasized on the need for prudent financial management and risk mitigation, thereby directing banks to exercise utmost prudence and set aside foreign currency revaluation gains as a counter-cyclical buffer to cushion any adverse movement in the foreign exchange rate. In a letter signed by the Acting Director, Banking Supervision, Dr. Adetona Adedeji, and addressed to banks yesterday, the Apex Bank stated that banks shall not utilize such FX revaluation gains to pay dividends or meet operating expenses. And now to security matters. Bandits who abducted 287 school children at Kuriga in Chukun local government area of Kaduna State have demanded a 1 billion naira ransom to set their captives free. They have also threatened to kill the victims if the ransom was not paid in 20 days. However, the military has vowed to rescue the school children to their parents unhurt, stressing that bandits now embark on mass abduction to use their victims as human shields in view of the clearance operations by its officers and men. It would be recorded that bandits on March the 7th, 2024 invaded the school, reportedly shot one of the pupils and escaped into the bush with over 200 others. The bandits' demand for ransom came barely 24 hours after President Bola Tinubu warned against payment of ransom to criminal elements, including bandits. You're watching news analysis live on Politics and Business TV. Still to come, A civic organization focused on the Nigerian budget and public data budget throws its weight behind suspended Senator Abdul Ningi on the 3.7 trillion naira gap in the 2024 budget presented to the National Assembly. Details of this and more after the break. Do join us again. All right, welcome back from that break. You're watching news analysis live on Politics and Business TV. Let's talk health matters now, as experts in the treatment of kidney diseases have called for stricter regulations on carbonated and alcoholic drinks to stop the growing cases of organ failure in Nigeria. They made this appeal during a rally organized by the Kidney Department of the Federal Medical Center, Ebute Metta, in commemoration of World Kidney Day with the theme, Kidney Health for All. The World Kidney Day is an annual global health awareness campaign that is celebrated every second Thursday in March, aimed at increasing knowledge about healthy lifestyles, risk factors, and ways to cope with kidney diseases. According to media reports, the expert lamented that these drinks contain high levels of sugar and other chemicals that can damage the kidney over time, thereby urging the government to step in and regulate the production and sale of carbonated and alcoholic drinks. Away from health matters, a civic organization focused on the Nigerian budget and public data budget has thrown its weight behind suspended Senator Abdul Ningi on the 3.7 trillion naira gap in the 2024 budget presented to the National Assembly. The director and co-founder of Budget, Seun Onigbinde, who made this known yesterday, stressed that Ningi was right if he posited that there was no detailed allocation for 3.7 trillion naira in the 2024 budget. According to media reports, the budget director, Onigbinde, argued that the allocations of the National Assembly, National Judicial Council, Independent National Electoral Commission, a Tertiary Education Trust Fund, and others do not carry a detailed breakdown. Onigbinde added that the people have the right to know how the funds earmarked for the aforementioned agencies were being spent. In a related development, the spokesman for the Senate, Yemi Adaramodu, has berated the People's Democratic Party for calling for the resignation of the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, over the unfounded claim of 3.7 trillion naira budget padding. The budget padding allegation was raised by a PP senator representing Bauchi Central, Senator Abdul Ningi. On Wednesday, the PDP knocked Ningi's suspension, calling on Akpabio to resign as Senate President to pave the way for an independent investigation into the budget padding allegation. However, reacting on Thursday, the chairman, Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Adaramodu, knocked the PDP, stressing that Akpabio would not resign. In the meantime, an All Progressives Congress Senator, Abdulaziz Yaradua, representing Katsina Central, has replaced Ningi as the chairman of the Northern Senators Forum. With Ningi's immediate resignation from the position following his suspension by the Senate, Yaradua's emergence as the new chairman of the NSF was sequel to unanimous endorsement to that effect by senators across the three geopolitical zones in the north. Still on this issue, Senator Jarigbe Agom Jarigbe from Cross River North has revealed that some senators got a total of 500 million naira each from the 2024 budget. The revelation by Agom Jarigbe was on the heels of allegations by Senator Abdul Ningi from Bauchi Central Senatorial District over 3.7 trillion naira padding of the 2024 budget. Agom Jarigbe, who commented on the allegations by Ningi, alleged that some senators are guilty of such practice, adding that some senior senators got 500 million naira each from the 2024 Appropriation Act. Meanwhile, the Senate, under the leadership of Senate President Godswill Akpabio, has suspended Senator Abdul Ningi over the allegations of budget padding. The Senate President, who described Ningi's offences as grievous, conducted a voice vote during which most of the lawmakers voted in support of Ningi's suspension for 3 months. It will be recalled that the embattled Senator Ningi had on Monday said he was ready to carry his cross, even if it means suspension from the upper legislative chamber. Now, while this development has elicited mixed reactions from Nigerians, a public affairs analyst, Comrade Saliu Mahmoud Dantata, joins us to discuss this after this quick break. Do join us again. Right, welcome back from that break. I'm being joined by a public affairs analyst, Comrade Saliu Mahmoud Dantata, on the show this afternoon. Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Izzy.
All right. I'm sure you've been keeping tabs on, the budget padding controversy.
Even yesterday, we discussed it in other forums. Like
All right.
Yes.
So, would you say the allegations of budget padding and, so-called ranking senators, in the words of Senator Jarigbe, receiving 500 million naira each, is it a testament to the fact that Nigeria is actually far from over in terms of fighting corruption?
Well, we are not far from fighting corruption. If you look at our stages in development, for example, we still being rated as a developing nation. And when you have a developing democracy, you are bound to experience things like this. And when you talk about corruption, fighting it is not overnight. And the issue at stake now, which is budget padding, did not just commence now. From 1999 till Buhari administration, it has been there. Even particularly under the Buhari administration, there has been issues of budget padding, which himself as president and commander-in-chief knew. But at the end of the day, it was let go. It was not as exposed as those of Abdul Ningi. Why that of Abdul Ningi is coming into being discussed or at the forefront is going by status as opposition leader, as well as a member of a major opposition party in the country.
Right.
Both in the lower chamber and upper chamber, there has been cases of reportage of budget padding where you see those that raise these issues are either being subjected to ridicule or suspension. So it's not the first to be suspended as a result of raising or whistleblowing of the budget padding. And thank God some of his colleagues are trying to collaborate him. So all that is needed now is for us to have a holistic approach. And with the independence of the Senate, the anti-graft agencies have little they can do as regards going into action. Because if today we see EFCC, ICPC and the police going into meddle with internal affairs of the Senate or House of Reps, it means the National Assembly is rubber stamp. It means it doesn't have what you call independence. So the way out now is for the executive as well as the judiciary and the legislature to form intergovernmental committee, where the Auditor General, Accountant General, other, including Finance Minister and others that knows much about appropriation will be brought to discuss the issue. At the time it is found out that yes, there was issue of budget padding, then certain actions can be taken.
Well, let me ask you now, there have been calls for the Senate President to step aside honorably in order for, an independent investigation to be carried out. Do you think that's going to be a step in the right direction?
This is laughable. When you ask yourself, who is the President and Commander-in-Chief? It's from APC. Majority of the senators are from APC.
So is this a political party tussle? Is this a situation
of political party tussle? Abdul Ningi had a kind of patriotic intentions. But in Nigeria, if you want to be a patriot, they attach it to political opposition and also of others. So a lot of people now, who now emerged as his successor is from the APC. There are no northerners in PDP and other parties like NNPP and also of others. So that itself is telling you it's about politics. He was Itato chairman of Northern Senators Forum. At the time he raised this issue after his suspension, he had to leave. And a lot of people he had thought would support him, the fellow Northern Senators, how many of them today have come out to back him. So you take it from there. So it has become an issue of opposition, an issue of party now. Ningi's party, the PDP, came out to call for that, resignation of the Senate President, not from NNPP, not from Labour Party, not from SDP and others.
You know,
so
but when you talk about patriotism, I'm sorry to butt you. Why are the comments of Senator Abdul Ningi coming at this time? Because if you want to be patriotic, you should have, raised this dust or blew the whistle a long time ago.
Well,